Welcome back, folks. Before we go on, I just want to check on some sports stats, keep myself sharp here on the sports, and I'll use my computer and just go in here, and I'm going to check, okay.
Welcome to Too Much Dip. It's November 30th, 2020. My name's Dave, and I will be hosting today. I thought about doing this entire intro in the Daniel Plainview voice from There Will Be Blood, but I chose to not do that to spare the Too Much Dip listeners from that bit. But we've got a very exciting show today. We've got Big Game Brett filling in for Roger Dorn.
Thank you for having me, Dave. Call to the bullpen over here.
The bullpen is in the building.
Yeah, happy to be here. Decided to talk sports, of which there were many this weekend.
I feel like we haven't done this in 3 weeks, but in reality, it's been a week. Correct? Did we do it remote last week? What did we do?
No, we did this Monday last week.
Okay.
I wasn't here.
Correct.
You were not here. You came. You were
He was remote.
through via the satellite.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Great to be back. Feels good to be back in the saddle. Shouts to Aerosmith. I'm not going to do any Cole Campbell bits today because Dylan's not here to laugh at him, but I will just say, Dave, why are you always in the mood?
I don't know.
It's a TikTok thing.
Is it a TikTok
Yeah,
thing?
We doing
fucking
TikTok.
around, acting brand new.
Who's that artist?
Oh, man.
He's getting
24 Golden.
24
Shouts
gold.
to 24 Golden. He's my guy. It's a real earworm.
Are you getting into TikTok?
Nah, but I just really like that song.
Okay.
TikTok's getting
He's in
into him.
RickTok, which is the conservative one. It's like Parlor, but TikTok.
That's good, Brett.
Dude, we
That's
said
good.
this. We said this the other day. Parler, objectively good name for an app.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there. We're fair here.
It means to speak in French.
Is that really where it comes from?
Oui.
Parler.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Now it's not as good.
Speaking of parlays, man.
Ah.
Hey, KJ's here.
Hey, what's happening, fam? I'm so happy to see Brett sitting up. All right, no offense. Dylan's not here to defend himself. But easier on the eyes, this guy over here.
Wow.
Great flow.
Thank you,
And
KJ.
of course, if you don't know, Dylan is ugly as fuck.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
Just not handsome.
Look at you and look at us.
It's a well-known fact.
I sit across from KJ, and I'm just always enamored by the gun show and the traps.
Oh,
every
appreciate
time.
it. I appreciate it.
He does one set of one.
Yep.
One of one.
Yeah,
One
each-
in a row.
I don't want to wake up the
One
family
in a
when I sneak
row.
out in the morning, so I just put the car in
One in a
neutral,
row.
deadlift, walk it out, set it down,
That's it.
and that's the workout.
Efficiency. Have you seen the pivot gym, Dave?
I have not.
It is a Murphy
Welcome
bed.
to Substock.
You know what a
Sorry, continue.
you know what a Murphy bed is?
Yes.
The bed that folds down, and you can like store it in a
Oh,
closet.
That's
yeah.
what Randy
Shouldn't
just
you be
bought.
asking Randy this
Yeah.
question?
Randy just got a Murphy bed, I think.
When you lift it up, it reveals a squat rack and bench press.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Okay. You have my attention.
Yeah.
Can we get one for the stew here? Or the lodge?
I think that's the plan.
You have
It's in
to
the
tear
budget.
down that load-bearing wall.
It'd be worth it.
If Pivot would like to sponsor this podcast, please reach out. Brett at washedmedia.com.
I've wanted to get a squat rack for my garage for a
Yep.
while, but the thought of putting it together has just made me not pull the trigger on
Funny you
it.
say that. They have people that can install them professionally so that you are not just rooting around trying to find a load-bearing beam. Because I've been in the market searching for just this thing. I have a Smith machine in the garage, as we've talked about. But I'm trying to get out of there for space reasons. So, agreed. Pivot's on the radar.
Interesting. Sneaky shots to Pivot. Drop the bag.
Yeah. Drop the bat, please.
Before we get into it, we've got a lot to get to.
Oh,
but
boy.
Just a couple notes. Follow us on Twitter, Too Much Dip with 2 P's. Instagram, Too Much Dip Podcast. Check out the Washed Media store. You can get Too Much Dip merchandise now. Did you guys know this?
The all-new Wash Media store.
Brett, tell us where they can go to find that, because you probably know it better than me.
Sure. Washedmedia.shop. Washedmedia.shop for a bunch of new merchandise from the Washed Media empire. I'll go there. Too Much Dip stuff galore. Got golf towels in there, ball markers with Too Much Dip on them.
Yep.
There's even a little Easter egg here. There's a tee that might have Dave's name on it.
Oh, shit.
It's the only thing so far from the Academy, but
Do I know about this?
it's just in the tea set. There's a lot of different things.
You
We
signed
know
over
Dave loves
licensing
tea.
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Dave's a big tea guy.
High tea.
High tea.
Hey,
Oh, it's a high tea.
can I just dedicate this entire episode today to Dippy, the official unofficial mascot of Too Much Dip?
Yeah.
If you guys don't know about Dippy, then I don't know where you've been the last 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's for Dippy. Dippy's taken this country over.
He was making waves over the weekend.
It's our best seller.
Not to pull back the curtain too much, but 2021, I've already teased Dippy dog toy. I want that to happen. More importantly, 2022, Micah in a Dippy costume. I think that could happen.
I mean, I'll do it. This has Halloween 2021 written all over it.
Ooh,
assuming
boy.
the dippers out there drop the bag and,
There
and
it
go
is.
Bang.
There he is.
purchase this merch.
He's shooting a basketball through queso, which it seems like it would be difficult to do.
Well, his jump shot's wet.
It's so wet.
Wet with queso.
It just glides right through the cheese.
Micah, have you been able to check out any of the Too Much Dip merch?
I have.
Do you have a favorite?
I love Dippy.
Yeah. I mean, everybody does.
You know, it's good. I like the chip logo. It's elegant. It's on a golf hat. That's nice. You can wear that. That's a real conversation starter if
Get
you're
it on a
out.
polo.
Yeah, if you're out playing
pinstripe
with
polo?
you know, a
Yes.
little round of golf with some people.
Tumbler as well. High quality tumblers.
Just
Better.
high quality stuff.
I
Brett.
have to agree.
Shout out to Brett for putting it together.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, big shots.
Good news, Thursday, live stream's coming back. We've got football to pick, man. We got games to talk about.
Bang.
We got to do the parlays and stuff, you know?
You know,
Real
the
gambling
next,
guy talk.
We'll talk about it, but next Monday after we record this podcast, the Cowboys play at like 3:30.
Yes.
Maybe the boys should go hit Hooters or something in a socially distanced, safe manner.
Does that
Shouts
mean the
to
waitress
Savannah.
won't sit down at your table?
Yeah,
She
maybe
just
we.
leans over the table.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't go then. It's just not worth it without Savannah there.
Dude, she sat down at the table. I think I'm going to write my number on the receipt. That was such a shitbag thing we used to do back in the day. We would, if somebody got up to go to the bathroom and like the check was there, we would write his number on the receipt and like with like a little message and leave it and not tell him and just be like, by the way.
I catfished a girl that way one time.
Oh, no.
It wasn't intentional,
Oh,
but
no.
man, I might as well tell the story. It was my birthday. We were at El Alma, and I went to the bathroom or something, and somebody wrote my name down on the check, or maybe I wrote my name down on the check because I was into the waitress. I was single at the time, to be very clear.
Thank you.
But my buddy Bobby picked up the check because it
Oh,
was my
Bob.
birthday.
Yeah, this is a Bobby story.
So I showed
Yeah.
up. I showed up to go pick this girl up, and she was like, "Nice to meet you," and gave me like and I was like, this seems bizarre. And I think it was just because I had accidentally catfished her.
Damn!
Wait, did she get in the car with you?
Yeah, we went on a date.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
There was no second date.
There's no noodling?
Ah,
No, there was no big nude Saturday either. Just
No,
for the
no
record.
noodling for the catfish?
at Texoma.
I've done
You
this as
noodle?
well, Micah.
Yeah.
I left a number in my single days. Back
Okay.
in New York City, hit it off with a waitress and left my number, and she texted me, and we texted back and forth a little bit, but never went on a date.
Oh
Never went
wow.
back to the
I'm
place.
sorry.
It's a
Sorry
big
to hear that.
city.
Find out how this story ends on R&B radio tomorrow.
R&B radio.
Or your OnlyFans.
Sure.
Guys, and don't
Yeah.
forget.
Buy the merch, or I might have to start an OnlyFans.
Please.
We
Did you
need
see
this.
Did you see the mouse pads, Micah?
Yes. Thank
Sure
you
you're signing
to
them?
everyone on Twitter who has mentioned me whenever Wash drops a new mouse pad.
It's only going to enhance your followers.
I mean, I'm willing to sign those for the price. Maybe I should get on, Cameo.
You guys want to talk NFL football?
Can I plug the Discord real quick?
Plug the Discord.
As I mentioned on Circling Back this morning, last week was Listener Engagement Week for your boy. Major shouts to all of those participating in the Discord. If you're not familiar with Discord, I wasn't either, but don't let it be too intimidating to get into. It's basically a discussion board dedicated to all things Wash Media. There are several different channels there within, including one for R&B Radio, one for Circling Back, one for this very podcast. And the listeners in there do their own happy hours, Zoom get-togethers, Veet-ups, if you will. But yeah, hit your boy up if you need a link. it's a little different to join. You don't just go to a website. You have to download the app and get an invitation link, but it's super simple after that. Shout out to some of the listeners in there. Brandon, a.k.a. Kim Jong Bro. Edward was in there last week. Taylor was a new listener I hadn't interacted with. So, yeah, check it out. Discord. It's like 800 or so listeners in that thing.
A lot of listeners.
Yeah.
Probably going to hit 1,000 after today. I think.
Should.
NFL, I think the biggest story, we got to go back to Thursday. We got to go to Thanksgiving. You know, I said that we weren't going to ruin Thanksgiving. We ruined Thanksgiving. We're just going to start.
Let's start right there, Dave.
It was a shit Thanksgiving day. We had Steelers Ravens postponed.
Correct.
So we had, basically two turds on the slate. You had Texans Lions and you had boys team from Washington. And they did not deliver.
To say you didn't get Gillsgiving was an understatement. An absolute understatement.
It was tough for me. I was willing to give Andy another chance because he looked good the week before, and I don't know what happened, man. It honestly, I've kind of blocked out a lot of it, and it was like 4 days ago, so I don't remember a ton. But I just remember being sad on my couch, and like my nephew kind of looking at me like, "What's up? Why are you upset?" I'm like, "Well, this team that has a chance to win its division by winning 6 games, they're getting their ass kicked by this other equally shitty team."
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, Dave. That's exactly what happened. Amari Cooper stepped up. That's about it. About it for the whole.
Can we talk about the fake punt?
Oh, you mean the one from their own 24 when they were down 4 points with like 11 minutes left in the
Yeah,
third
let's
quarter?
talk about that one, which led to an immediate Washington football team touchdown on the next play.
Was it the next play?
Yeah, it was the next play.
It was. Okay.
Mike McCarthy is the worst coach in the history of the National Football League. I'm pretty sure. At least he's like bottom 5%.
He has a Super Bowl ring.
He is certainly the worst football coach ever to win a Super Bowl. Let me put it that way.
I would look at that in
I know we're skipping a little bit ahead. If you watch the Packers crush the shit out of Randy's Bears last night and watch Aaron Rodgers just look incredible as he is wont to do. And the Packers are coached by a guy named LaFleur, correct?
Matt
The
LaFleur,
flower.
Yes, Matt LaFleur, who Michael Lombardi, who used to be the general manager of the Raiders and the Browns and worked with Belichick for a lot of years, he has a podcast. For some reason, he hates LaFleur and he calls him LaFuck. Okay, and I don't know why. I just find it hilarious. But LaFuck went 13-3 last year. The Packers are what, 8-2 this year?
Mm-hmm. He's a good coach.
Well, maybe. He may be an idiot, too, because he traded up to get a first-round quarterback when he has Aaron Rodgers.
And then drafted A.J. Dillon out of Boston College with the next pick.
So my point here, though, no one is sold on LaFuck. People think he is. No one trusts this guy, even though he has a tremendous record.
Who calls him LaFuck?
Mike Lombardi. Shouts to Mike Lombardi. He should come on the
Not even
pod.
creative.
Anyway, my point is, no one thinks he's a good coach, and yet he's got Aaron Rodgers, and they just win all the time. Mike McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers for years and had losing records. Mike McCarthy is trash. Mike McCarthy makes things worse every time he opens his fat boca. I'm sick of Mike McCarthy. Hey, Mike, you called an inexplicable fake punt at your own 24-yard line when you were still very much in the game.
Is that his call?
He had to okay it.
Did he? Or did
Yes.
Fossil go rogue?
I don't think he went Sarah Palin on it. And Mike McCarthy, after the game, when that happens and you lose, and then the whole world, things get significantly worse after that, you just come out and say, "Yeah, that was a mistake. We made an error. We got to do a better job." That's not what Mike McCarthy said. Mike McCarthy came out and said, "Oh, it was the right call.
You got to respect
It was the right call.
You doubled down.
You guys don't watch what we watch on film. It was the right call." Was it? Because it didn't look like the right call in reality, you bozo.
I love a good aggressive coach. That just didn't seem like the move at that time. I don't know what the analytics say. I don't have my analytics book on me, but it doesn't feel like we needed it.
No.
It was a 4-point game.
Correct. And if you're going to go for it, just go for it, I think is the biggest takeaway. Like, run your offense out there and go for it.
It was 4th and 10.
It was also 4th and 10 on
Yes.
your own 24.
And it
Nobody's
also-
ever going for it.
Let me also say one other thing. This wasn't like I can envision a scenario where you're watching film study and they they rush everybody on the punt, and if you quick snap it to somebody and you're going to have somebody wide open, boom, that's something you see in film. It's like when a coach tries an onside kick. That's something defensible. What they did with like a short snap and then running a reverse and looking to throw it to the punter, that wasn't going to work against anybody. That wasn't one that you're like, oh, on film, if we run a reverse, they won't react to that well. Like, it was just foolish.
If you watch the playback, the guy across from the gunner protector, buys it for zero.
Yeah,
zero
he's just
seconds.
standing right
And
there.
You can tell when
the play was totally blown
when
up
Wilson
from
gets
moment
the ball,
one.
you're like, he's like, oh.
I think teams game plan knowing that Fossil might pull some shit.
Yes, he's
So
notoriously
I
creative.
Don't think you're. I don't think you're going to catch anybody off guard, especially now. Like McCarthy's shown he's pretty willing to be aggressive. Then you had the 4th and 1. You had that whole deal, and it was bad. You had the Zeke fumble. It was just sad. It just ended up, and then they gave up. They clearly gave up. I feel bad because like the last 3 weeks have been positive, about as positive as it can
The
be.
defense had been scrappy and really been playing well and it improved. But yeah, they were awful.
Yeah,
Just awful.
They
And
were-
just a pathetic fourth quarter meltdown.
It was bad. It was bad. It made me sad. And you know what? I'm actually glad that Garrett wasn't out there for that. I'm glad he got to watch it on the sidelines. Didn't have to sully his name.
Does he get the go going forward?
No,
They're sticking.
I don't think they will.
The problem with the Cowboys is that Jerry is the general manager, and he refuses to admit that he makes mistakes. And when he goes on his radio show and says that Zeke is our best football player, when you've overpaid him since the jump, and he's clearly not the best running back you have right now, I mean, that's a problem. And it's going to continue to be a problem. And there's no way to fix that unless Jerry dies, which isn't likely to happen anytime soon because I'm sure he's going to Germany and getting that stuff that,
The Kobe stuff.
the Kobe stuff.
the platelet-rich treatment.
I think he just takes his super yacht
Dude,
out
I
and
would-
brings the doctors to him.
Do you know I've
in
recently
international
looked
waters?
into stem cell for a back issue?
I did not know
very
that, but I'm not
expensive.
surprised.
You can,
Yes, it is.
You can get stem cell injections into if you have compressed discs, like
Really?
I think I do.
Oh, the com dies. Yeah, for sure. Compressed discs.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Just call them condice.
Remember compact.
Are we prepared to give the Cowboys as much attention as a 3-8 team deserves to have?
The only
Yes.
reason it's yes because they can still win the division.
I'm saying that they deserve very little attention here
I agree.
until I'm not saying let's never bring
This-
them up,
This is therapy.
but this is me thinking, just saying, will we feel better expecting less from the Cowboys for the remainder of the season? They've been battered by injuries. There are
Yes.
excuses. Let's
Absolutely.
just, as someone who knows losing, it's in my blood as a football fan. Just accept it.
Here's the
Lay
problem.
down, accept it.
The problem is that these teams in the NFC East are probably going to continue to lose. And so
Eagles Seahawks tonight.
the Cowboys can get one more win, and you can talk yourself right back into being, we're only a half game
Let me
out.
say this: I will put down this ultimatum, or I will just tell you this: I will not predict them to win the division anymore. I did predict them to win the division, which is not that crazy. Last week it was not that crazy. Now you know what? I'm riding with the Giants. I want
Garrett's-
Jason Garrett in the playoffs.
Giants.
I want Jerry to have to see Jason Garrett in the playoffs. Yeah, like we said, Eagles got the Seahawks tonight. The game last night, I had a lot of fun with that. Chiefs Bucks, or was that the late game?
That was
wasn't-
3 p.m. game.
Yeah, it was a 3 p.m. game.
Fantastic game.
You had full Mahomes. You had Brady. This is kind of like a microcosm of his entire season. Some really great throws and then some just on the wrong page. I don't know if he's washed. I don't know what the deal is, but just some bad interceptions.
Yeah, he looked great in the second, third, and fourth quarters, but some bad picks.
Yeah.
And that's sort of been the story on a guy who's 43. Like, he's going to play well, and he's the GOAT. He's going to play well 3 out of every 4 games or 3 out of every 4 quarters, but he's just not capable of putting it together for 60 minutes, I don't think.
I cannot watch Brady and enjoy it because I find myself getting more caught up in what the commentators are saying about Brady in the if they're hitting him with padded gloves or they're taking it easy on him, like last night or yesterday. Romo, clearly a Brady guy. I don't know how close they are, but like You know, are they going out of their way not to say that was a bad throw? And now that's in my head. So now I'm like overthinking everything.
My question will be, moving forward with Romo, is he that way around every quarterback? Because he was very quick to blame the wide receivers when Brady did something, made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I think it may be a pro Brady thing, but I think it's just pro quarterback position. I don't ever remember him being hard on anyone. So we'll see.
He gave Arians some smoke as well, saying that your offense is not tailored to what Tom Brady does best, which is read the play before the snap. He's doing all these reads post snap.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Tony, like
that's above my pay grade, but like it makes sense.
yeah, Bruce is telling Tom, here's my offense, run it, instead of giving Tom the keys.
I saw some people on Twitter maybe hypothesizing that Brady was a little bit forthcoming to Romo in the interviews leading up to the game, kind of bitching about Arians, because Romo was taking some subtle digs at the Bruce Arians offense.
I mean, it's no secret that what Brady's done over the last 5+ years is specialize in throwing the ball 15 yards and shorter, with the exception of passes to Gronk down the seam. Like, that's where he's made his dough. It's his short passes. And Bruce Arians' offense has never been that, and it isn't that. So it shouldn't be a surprise or misleading in any way that Bruce Arians' offense is designed for passes over 20 yards, especially when you have, I don't know, Antonio Brown and Mike fucking Evans, like two of the deep ball threats, like best deep ball threats in the league. You should make it work. I think if you are the greatest quarterback of all time, you know, just as Bruce Arians should be able to bend a system, you should be able to adjust a little bit if you've got it. Brady was like 0 for 17 in passes over 20 yards until yesterday. And I mean, my numbers are off there, but he was 0 for until he completed one to Gronk in that game, like a 29-yard pass up the seam. That team will click. It's too deep not to work. Ronald Jones, being what he is and producing at a high level, is going to make that team, you know, have a safety net that they shouldn't have. That's how they got back into the game, surprisingly, was how well he was running the ball. So I think that the Bucs will be there. They may not be in the Super Bowl, but the NFC isn't so deep that they can't still be NFC, you know, championship contenders, especially if Drew Brees, you know, doesn't get healthy.
Tyreek Hill had himself a little ball game.
First quarter.
Yeah, quick stat on him: 7 receptions, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter against the Bucs. He's third player. Do you know that? Did you see the stat on the other two? Third player to have at least last 30 seasons with 200 receiving yards in a quarter.
Can I guess?
First to do with over 7 passes.
Is one of them Randy Moss?
No, one was the Rocket. I'm sorry, one was the Missile, the Rocket's brother, Kadri Ismail. While with the Ravens, the other, Wisconsin Badger own Lee Evans.
Oh.
He used to do the wrist roll thing pre-snap. Actually, no, he didn't play for the Bills. So, yes, you would know.
Western New York zone.
I was thinking Randy Moss Thanksgiving against the Cowboys.
I don't know if it was all in one quarter.
It
He
was.
had like
He only had
150
had 3 catches in that game.
3 catches for like 150.
It was like 170 yards, but it was only 3 catches, so he never got to 200.
That was a fun one. It always comes back to the Cowboys.
They were all touchdowns too.
Finished the game with 269 yards, 13 receptions. Second most in the Chiefs' history. So that's wild.
Pretty good day.
They've obviously lost a game this year, but like you watched that last night or yesterday, and you're like, who is beating them? Who is slowing this down?
I have a lot of friends who are Chiefs fans that I went to college with, and all the people from St. Louis are now Chiefs fans too, which is just kind of sad.
Kind of like everybody from Lubbock. They're now Chiefs fans.
Right, yeah, they're all on the bandwagon. And I like, you've got to feel like you're winning every game.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even when they're a little shaky in the fourth quarter or whatever, you know if Mahomes gets the ball back, they're going to score and you're going to win the game. Like, that's got to be an unbelievable feeling. Even when the Cowboys were dynastic in the early 90s and we were kids, like, you knew they were going to win every game, but in the moment when they were in trouble, like, they didn't have just a go-to thing. It's like NBA Jam. You know he's just going to hit threes over and over and over again and get back in the game. It's just got to be a sort of a empowering feeling for the whole team.
The Warriors, right?
Yes.
The Warriors
Yes.
of 4 years ago.
Yeah, no matter how much they're down by, you know they're going to make a 24-3 run.
And it can happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it's worth talking, and not to like segue here, but I think that Vrabel and what he does with that team and the weapons they have offensively can put up points quick when they need it if they got behind with A.J. Brown. and some of the deep ball skills he has, or really just catch and run skills that he has. Same with Derrick Henry and his long runs. But as we've seen with Vrabel, and if the Ravens ever get off of COVID, both of those teams can slow down the game with the Chiefs so much that they can make it competitive. I don't have faith enough in Lamar Jackson right now to stick with the points or to put up enough points, but the Titans I think can. So,
well, that's sorry to interrupt you, Brett, but like that was what was so crazy about the Chiefs' run last year is that the team. There is a blueprint for how to beat the Chiefs. You shorten the game, you run the football, you make it close, you hope to get a turnover, and like. The Titans did a perfect job of that in the playoff game, and the Chiefs still ran them off the field in the fourth quarter.
That's true.
So they're a juggernaut.
Two things. One, last thing on the Chiefs-Bucs game. Did you catch Chris Jones talking shit to Tom Brady and getting in his face? Mm-mm. Of all the people to get in Tom Brady's face, you'd think that Chris Jones is not the guy to be doing it. Two, the AFC this year is as stacked of a conference versus the NFC, I think, as I've seen in a minute. Between the Chiefs, you have the Bills, you have the Titans, you have the Ravens, you have the Steelers. All of those teams can pull this thing out. And I don't think we're giving the Steelers any credit at all when we should be.
The fact that they hadn't played yet this week is probably what puts them not out of sight, out of mind, but I think it's because it's been 10, 12 days. It'll almost have been 12 days since they played. Like, no question about it. The Steelers are a competent team. It probably is also a little bit slanted since we saw them play their worst game against the Cowboys, but unquestionably they are a supremely talented team and a well-coached team.
When you play against a quarterback like that, it's going to happen.
Anybody catch that Raiders-Falcons game?
No, but
Red Zone was living on it for a little while.
That's where I watched most of it, and that was just a buzzsaw. I don't know what happened.
Don't the Falcons always feel like they're good for one of those, though, just because of the weapons they have, because they play in a dome?
Julio, right?
But it always seems to be next man up with the Falcons receivers. They draft their team like I draft my fantasy team. I just load up on every receiver. They've had Hardy, they've had Ridley, they've had the new guy from Bama. They have all of these guys that just step up every week, or not every week, but like at one point they go off for 40.
Yeah,
and then boom.
That's got to be infuriating for a fan base to see your team beat the Chiefs, beat the juggernaut we just described, and then just go lay one of the biggest turds of the season. Mm-hmm. Very bad.
What is that? Is that one of those West Coast team flies east and plays a noon kick or 1 p.m. kick? You're always good.
Add in a holiday
dinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to lay an egg, that's the egg game.
You've also got Raheem Morris has been their interim coach for the last 6 games. He's 4-2 over those 6 games. And I was going back because he was the head coach for the Bucs for 3 years. And with the Bucs as the head coach, he was, first year, 3-13. And this was taking over a 9-7 Gruden team. So he took over right after Gruden was gone. But then he went 10-6 in the second year. And then fell back to being 10-6. This is with Josh Freeman at the helm. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him stick around and or get picked up as a head coach. He's got some talent. He's been around as a defensive coordinator and a DB coach for quite a while. He's only 44 years old, so wouldn't be shocked if Atlanta, I'd say he has to win 3 more games.
Well, they also had the Todd Gurley accidental fall into the end zone game. He could be 5-1 as the coach at this point. So
that was who was that against? The Rams? No, the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions.
Which the Lions,
we should talk about them.
Matt Patricia, if we're talking about not slim coaches, he is now available and on the market.
Yes.
Wouldn't be shocked to see him just go back to New England.
That seems to be likely. He is such a terrible slob of a human. I hate him. I'm glad to see him go. He's treated the media like trash. He's treated his teammates or his coaching staff, his players, everyone. He is trash, and I hope never to hear from him ever again.
Yeah, it's, I would be the first to jump on the railroad track and be like, hey, let's not judge the person. But by all accounts, Matt Patricia has been an ass to work around. Every report that you see on him, It just hasn't been pleasant. He hasn't lived up to any of what they brought him in for. So it just sucks to see Matt Stafford's years getting wasted like this.
Yeah, the stat that I saw is that, we talked about a little bit, don't bet against the Lions on Thanksgiving. Actually, you probably should, because they're 4-16 in their last 20 Thanksgiving Day games, and 3 of those wins were under Jim Caldwell, who they ran out of town with a winning record.
Yeah.
To hire this fucking slob. I mean, no wonder Will doesn't want to come on this podcast anymore. It's just got to be
Dude, don't even
miserable.
bring up the Lions to Will, because he doesn't even get mad like us talking about the Cowboys. He just gets kind of detached and sad, and you're like, all right, man, fuck. Let's talk about soccer.
They say what's worse than anger? It's apathy. Will is completely in the apathetic line.
Dude.
I did talk to him yesterday, and he was very excited that they got rid of Patricia and the GM. That was, that's some actual movement. So congratulations to Lions fans.
As did the Jags.
Yes, fired our GM. After 10 years, I want to say he's been with the Jags. They did make the statement that Doug Marrone, wouldn't be fired during the season, which I'm fine with that. You're not out there trying to recruit. It's not like there's a arms race for a head coach candidate. Like what are you doing? Firing your coach and go after Urban Meyer? If we all know it's done, there's no issue in keeping some continuity during a completely shit year, especially when you've got to maintain protocol, or else you screw things up more. Just keep him around, keep it moving, and let's continue on. I guess it hadn't gone sideways for the Texans, and they fired their coach, so I'm not opposed to it.
Doug
I don't see
Marrone
value.
always seems like a capable coach, though. You follow the team much closer than I do. They just don't look like they have any talent, and the talent they do have ends up leaving always for some
Mike
reason.
Glennon start quarterback yesterday.
That team seems to play hard, and they find I don't think the coach is the problem, although I'm sure he's going to get fired.
Was Glennon one of
Yes.
Was he a Hard Knocks, one of the 3?
Yes, with
Bucks drafted him. He was with the
Browns.
Bears. I don't think he was ever with the Browns.
No,
I thought he was third.
I think Bucks, Bears, and now Jags.
I thought it was the Raiders. Maybe he was a part.
Yes.
Yes, he was the
on
backup with the Raiders
He was on
last
the Raiders
year,
roster. Good
and
call.
was followed pretty closely on Hard Knocks.
I tuned out of that season after episode 2. But
Derek Carr creeped you out.
I think this didn't need any AD.
Dude, meme
It's
of
just
the
too much of a
season.
beta mill.
Meme of the season. Just Undertaker face Derek Carr.
That was great. Available on Too Much Dip on Instagram.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say about the Jags except for there was I should have pulled up this picture. Maybe we'll hit it in quick tips later. But there is a ridiculous picture of a player grabbing the derriere of.
What? How did
I didn't see the play, so I just saw the picture of
It
Jarvis
looked
Landry.
photoshopped. It was such an ass grab.
The thumbs were in there, that is the ass-eating position of the hands. You've got to get the thumb to a certain level depth that when you go to spread, the cheek's still not on your cheeks. And that thumb was in there in a right place. So
I'm just saying.
Can you say that?
Why was that so specific?
Can you say that again so I can write it down for Run It Back? Because
no.
I sort of had a
tis
stroke halfway
tis
through.
the season, people.
The Clappuccino is back.
I think we should pivot to COVID notes here
Have himself
because
an Assaccino. I'm sorry. We're doing sport.
because everything that's going to be said about the Broncos Saints game is going to be about Kendall Hinton. But before we dive in there,
Where?
Taysom Hill is
Just
garbage.
He's a winner.
He is garbage.
Hey, he's a winner, man. Sign me up.
Yeah, we were in Denver, and we got all of the Tebow comps yesterday. He's garbage. The fact that they didn't let Jameis play all-time QB yesterday was just sad. I felt terrible for Jameis, who's not a good quarterback, but he can throw a football, and he can rack up some yards. He'll throw picks, but he can play quarterback. Neither of these two can play quarterback.
2-0?
It's fucking trash.
I shot
Just
some
saying.
texts over to the boys, see if they
Yeah.
needed somebody.
He's just warming up the arm.
Would have had to quarantine. It wasn't going to work. But
We need you here.
yeah, I was going to take a game check.
It's
though.
podcast week.
The
We can't
story-
have you out there playing quarterback.
So do you want to give the top down about how we got here, or what do you want to give the top down about how the Broncos end up with no quarterback?
Just a triple threat at COVID.
They all four of them. So I think somebody came down with it.
Jeff
I think it was
Driscoll.
Driscoll.
Fuck
Which
yeah, Driscoll.
Which
That
Driscoll.
sounds like my pledge, bro.
Yeah, Driscoll's good dude. Good dude.
Yeah, dude, solid. It's a good family.
Driscoll comes down with it. Test positive. Bortles, Locke, and Ripien. Brett Ripien.
Wow.
Ripien.
Impressive.
Son of Mark, who
A nephew.
nephew of Mark. Big
Correct.
Buffalo
Team from
Bill.
Washington.
Yeah. Driscoll come down with it. Quarterback room is too close. All four have to.
Correct.
Well, apparently
Warrant.
they had a meeting without
maskless.
mask on
Yeah.
on their day off. They came in on their day off and had this meeting, and the contact tracing has found them to be a risk.
But apparently there was multiple incidents within that group where they were warned, they were provided these memos, and they just didn't follow through. So the NFL, the rule is you can't sign a free agent without, as Brett found out unfortunately, quarantining for 7 days. So last minute you can't pick up anybody. So it's stupid of the Broncos to ever organize their quarterback room and having all four people in it at one point in time, period. Like, you've got to put Bortles in a bubble.
It
Trademark
sounds
that.
like
The Bortles bubble.
The Bortle bubble.
they might have been doing that, but like
They-
went
outside of
went
that?
to a lunch,
Yeah.
or went to a cafeteria spot or something like that where they just sat together.
I am just shocked that John Elway would maybe not take COVID-19 seriously.
Well,
I'm shocked. I really am.
At a time like this, you got to look at their ownership and figure out what the hell's going on there.
which does not exist.
Exactly.
Another note on I found it kind of surprising that you can't have a coach, like can't sign a coach to be a free agent.
Rob Calabrese, I believe was his name, who was a former UCF.
I thought it was East
Robbie
Carolina.
East Carolina?
Something like
Robbie
that.
Meebles.
It was-
Somewhere.
Yeah.
But he's a quality control coach, basically a GA for the NFL on the staff, but, runs a scout team, knows the plays enough.
Yeah.
And they asked, well, can we suit him up to sling it around? Like, at least he's played quarterback recently. And the NFL said no, which Kellen Moore
why is he
came to mind immediately for
any
me.
different than a guy off the, like, not off the street, but like your practice squad? I don't understand that.
It's the old rule of, like, you can't stash players on your coaching staff. You know what I mean? Like, say you wanted to
Yeah,
skirt
I
the
mean-
53-man roster. Like,
Ooh.
they should have been granted an exception here, but because of
Uncertain
how,
times.
I guess, that they directly, the Titans screwed it up for everybody. Because this is basically what Titans did. They're like, don't do this kind of meeting outside of the boundaries of the facilities, and they did that, apparently. But yeah, I will say this before Micah rants on Hinton. All of the credit in the world goes to the guy who steps up and says, you know what? I'll suit up. I'll put the helmet on.
Yeah,
Like,
fuck it. His
You know,
first
fuck
ever
it.
NFL
He knows
snap.
he's going to get killed. Playing a top 10 defense, he knows he's putting his body at risk here. He knows it's not going to go well. He's played wide receiver at Wake Forest. Wasn't even good enough to be their quarterback.
Yeah, he
runs
lost
out
the
there.
quarterbacking
So
job
he
there.
did his part. He served his team. Like, had they eked out a win, like, fucking build that guy a statue and he should never play quarterback again. But it didn't look good.
I did have like a sneaky optimistic, like they're going to cover
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to be loose and they're just going to run the ball. And if you just run the ball at somebody 50 times at altitude, somebody's going to get tired. Like somebody's going to puke on the Saints defensive
Yeah.
line. So I did think they might eke out a cover. They obviously did not. And he went 1 for 9, but all the credit in the world to him.
I mean, I refuse to give him all the credit in the world.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm about to take this position. If you look on social media, all the big accounts, ESPN, they say shouts to Kendall Hinton, who played and stepped up in the last minute. And yes, he stepped up. He wasn't prepared. Dude was 1 for 9 with 2 picks. He was fucking terrible. He deserves no credit. He
Better
stinks.
or worse than Taysom Hill?
Better. Or, I mean, worse. I don't want to be crazy here, but if you put me at quarterback, I don't know if I'm probably not going to go 1
Don't
for 9.
end this sentence.
But
You won't go 1 for 9.
I'm
You'll
throwing-
go 0 for 0
That's
because
right.
you won't get any attempts.
but I'm it won't be any worse. He did
Oh,
a
it
terrible job.
You-
I could do equally bad.
This should answer that question for every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there who thinks that like,
I mean, I do hate that take.
this is the most capable person out there if you're saying not a quarterback to run out there and play quarterback.
They needed to give him plays
That's also part
You
of this.
can
They didn't have a week to game
play
plan. Like, this
action,
happened Friday. So
but
that
even like
sucks.
you can put a screen pass in on the sideline.
Yeah.
Like, hey, drop back and you're running
Yeah,
back.
let the guy hit a couple.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's 3rd and 16. Let him throw a
hitch.
a hitch. Yeah, let the guy
My
hit a
God.
button hook for 6 yards.
Was he getting to the line and even trying to read the defense?
No.
It looks bad. Like, we're going to talk about another event where you saw immediately that things were going to go bad. From the very first play, he took a snap, and it was a rollout to the right. The receiver was open. Any competent quarterback would have hit the receiver, and he didn't see it, and he just sailed the ball out of bounds and throw it out of bounds, throw it away.
His eyes, you can see, are 3 yards in front of him versus 30. Like,
It was
he is
bad.
just staring at the people.
So he
running
wasn't
at him.
looking off safeties, is what you're telling me?
He did not do that.
There was a tweet yesterday from what's the guy who's the Fox college football Joel Klatt,
Joel Klatt.
who Klatt was
Joel
like
Klatt.
he did the thing where he was begging for engagement, like, all right, if you're going to play in a game, how do you think you would do as a backup quarterback or as quarterback for the Broncos? I think I'd go like 8 for 19 with 2 picks.
That was his humble brag.
That was his humble
That really
brag.
means he thinks
no.
he'd go fucking.
You got to see the follow-up. The joke was that was his numbers in the Big 12 championship game at Colorado.
Oh, that's funny.
He was
Shouts to Joel Klatt.
I guess that was against Texas.
Yeah, that's the game that
They just got-
that
rerouted
was an
my
ugly one.
life. Got Gary Barnett fired, and my commitment no longer stood tall. Fuck Joel Klatt.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Shouts to Joel Klatt, though. A very engaging podcast guest. We should try and get him sometime.
Hard pass.
Maybe not for this show.
Maybe his partner.
Yeah, when
Gus.
I'm out, have him sit here.
Perhaps for Mind of Micah. Available wherever podcasts are found.
Can we put the NFL to bed?
Yeah, that's a lot of NFL.
Wait, before we do, can we talk about Kane Brown?
Or the Chiefs, or not Chiefs, I'm sorry, or the Packers. Packers won. We talked Packers earlier.
Yeah, shouts
Bears,
to the fuck.
Bears are bad
Imposters.
again.
Yeah.
Bills
Is
are an
Foles
anxiety
hurt?
attack.
The
Yes,
Bills,
he did.
holy
He was hurt.
shit. Yeah, Foles was hurt.
Okay,
Bent his
yeah.
stick.
What the Bills do? What was the
They're
false-
just it's the Josh Allen roller coaster.
hell yeah.
It's absolutely the Josh Allen roller coaster.
The experience rolls on.
yeah,
They're so fun to watch, though.
no, they're not, KJ. It's a fucking heart attack watching the Bills because they play to the level of every opponent.
Yep.
Seattle, unbelievable game. Fucking the Chargers.
Arizona.
It's they literally play the exact level and they eke out wins against the people they should beat, but play terribly. And they go up against these great teams and play really well and beat them. Not complaining, they're what 8-3 or whatever. But my God, we need to.
It's tough.
I don't know what Josh Allen is yet. I don't know.
Cole Beasley threw a touchdown pass. I like that.
I did.
Hell yeah.
To fly through any other notes, we need to mention Ravens Steelers play Tuesday. We already talked about that. So we'll catch that Thursday night. Cowboys Ravens was supposed to be Thursday night. That's now moved to next Tuesday or next Monday, as we've already discussed. So
Don't
no
care.
Thursday night game before our show. So plenty of us on Thursday night.
Yeah, the other news, the Niners are no longer allowed to practice or play in Santa Clara County. The reports are they're going to move to Arizona for the next 2 games.
Way to go, Gavin Newsom.
And then, the only thing the Ravens have now had a positive test for 8 straight days. The COVID thing is starting to get real hairy in the NFL. That being
COVID
said,
thing.
we're 2 games away from being done with Week 12, and the NFL hasn't missed a single game yet. We'll see if that continues for the next 7 weeks.
You know, man, it's been stressful. You know, life can be stressful, even under normal circumstances. No, but it's uncertain times. And that's why we've got one of our favorite sponsors, Headspace.
Get some headspace.
It was Headsprung. It was good.
Headspace.
It's your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. You guys have all tried this. I was using this a few years ago. I was kind of ground floor.
early
Not really.
adopter.
I was pretty late. It's awesome. I was a little bit intimidated just because the idea of meditation, I'm like, maybe it's not for me, but they make it easy. It's one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So whatever the situation, Headspace really can help you feel better. Overwhelmed, would you watch them boys? Headspace has 3 minutes SOS meditation for you.
I have started to use Headspace, not to cut you off there unnecessarily.
Cut me off.
Post Sizzle Squad. If we have one of those nights where we just didn't have it, Headspace before bed will clear your mind a little bit.
It's very tough to go from Call of Duty Warzone right to bed.
Yep.
You'll be thinking about, you should have thrown the Semtex
Mm-hmm.
or something. You got to mix it up. Put a little headspace in there, and have that barrier. Calm yourself down. Helps you fall asleep. Great for winding down. People swear by it. Their approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. It's backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, 600,000 five-star reviews, and over 60 million downloads. That's crazy. Makes it easy for you to build in life-changing meditation practice. So check it out. Right now, we have a special offer. Go to headspace.com/bang. Headspace.com/bang. That's going to get you a free 1-month trial and access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. That's headspace.com/bang. It's the best deal offered right now. Check it out. Dippy approves.
It's lit.
Do a little college football.
Do we have a college?
Turn it up.
Yeah, we do.
I don't know if it was going to be Gus being like, "Hey, good, go." Or the Red River.
How do people feel about Gus these days?
I thought I liked him more than I do.
Really?
Yeah.
College
I've watched
basketball's
more.
back, so you'll get more of them.
The more Texas I watch, the more I'm like,
Yeah.
Sam. He just calls him Sam over and over again.
Big Sam.
Yeah. I just remember Texas is back, folks, which was, 4 years ago when they beat Notre Dame?
Micah, I'm not going
God,
to
that
name
was
any
fun.
names.
Or
Micah,
5 years ago.
Micah, you're in a group text with me and another guy. He's the jackhammer. He's Dan. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, okay.
And we're like trying to figure out, should we put money on Texas? What do we need to do? And he's like asking us. I was like, dude, Texas is going to win this game. I was like, I feel pretty good about it. They've looked pretty good. And I forgot to factor in the fact that they have one of the most mediocre coaches in college football at the helm, at least at a blue chip program.
Tom Herman does nothing on game days. He has a reputation as being a good recruiter at his previous stops, and also a self-proclaimed Mensa level genius, which he likes to make public and not actually say out loud, but make sure everybody knows. He doesn't do much on game day, and I will just say this: the University of Texas and Iowa State should not be equal teams, and they're basically equal. If those teams played 10 times, Iowa State's winning 5 and Texas may win 5, maybe 6 and 4. Yeah. They're just very average Big 12 teams. And to lose that game in Austin when you have a 4-year starting quarterback, this is just such a pathetic waste of a season. It's really embarrassing.
Dude.
And I mean, I don't know if they're going to beat K-State next week or not.
K-State just lost to Baylor.
Yeah, hopefully for Herman's sake. Now, it would be great if they lost to Kansas in the last game and he met the same fate as.
Oh,
That would be poetic. But
R.I.P. Charlie.
they're just not very good, and it's a waste of a season, which to me is sort of the theme of college football this week.
As much of a gamer as he is, people like to say, he's a gamer. He's just
All
he likes,
guts.
Yeah. He makes some boneheaded plays, and he essentially cost them 5 or 6 yards taking a sack. And they were down there. They drove the field to tie it up.
inexcusable sack.
Dicker from 57, just a little bit left, putting a lot on him. That kid's been their most consistent player.
Mm-hmm.
The cliche of he had the distance. It was a good kick. Like I said, just barely missed. But I think that the issues that Texas is having, a lot of it's going to fall on Tom Herman's shoulders, just like a lot of what's happening in Michigan is going to fall on Jim Harbaugh's shoulders, and rightfully so over a certain amount of time. You run out of excuses. The thing with Herman is Harbaugh's had multiple quarterbacks, including some transfers mixed in there, and so it's hard for him to point fingers. The weird thing about what's going on up there is that the defense is usually they've had good defense and no offense, and this year the defense is trash in Michigan. With Texas, you've hitched your wagon to Sam Ehlinger for 4 years. You know what you're going to get. Yes, he is a very competent and capable quarterback, and I think the signing and the targeting of Jaquindon Jackson, it's almost like that's what they want out of a quarterback. So if this is what you're looking to have at Texas, maybe this ain't it, Chief. It'd be different if they were still trying to do that off-speed pitch that they were trying to do when they had Ehlinger and Buechele You have somebody who can throw the ball, and then you have Nellinger.
This is no inside info. I promise you this is just a guess. But you mentioned Jaquindon. No, it's not.
I'm kidding.
Jaquindon, Duncanville kid. He took him to 2 state championship games. He is 3rd on the depth chart at Texas. I think Herman goes. He's out, obviously. Jaquindon ends up at SMU. Hometown
Didn't
team.
hate it. Pipeline.
Follows his buddy from, his last year at Duncanville,
That's
who is a
some wild
senior at
conjecture.
Duncanville right now, Roderick Daniels, who was a Baylor commit. SMU flipped him. That dude's going to be a beast.
Big things happen when you go into Eastern Carolina and absolutely shit the bed.
Yeah,
Flip
that's-
recruits.
The flip happened before the East Carolina game, but just something to look out for.
Well, I appreciate that, Dave. I'm just embarrassed for Texas and their fans. They
Yeah.
stink.
They at least they know it now.
My issue is just like with Cowboys, like nobody's owed any winning seasons or a winning program or winning franchise. And that's how Texas fans act, and that's how Cowboys fans act.
Yeah.
That they just deserve to be better than they are.
Well, and
you're not.
Herman's got a little McCarthy in him. He doesn't say the right things in the press conference. There's just nothing enduring about the way that dude operates.
Okay.
They both
he-
have culture problems. Both program Cowboys and the Longhorns.
Herman talks like he has won 3 national championships, and it was not the whatever the fuck Houston thing.
Yeah.
He talks like he's been at Ohio State for 10 years, and he's doing Texas a favor by being there, and it is disgusting.
It's grating.
I wonder what.
But I like Del Conte though, and I wonder what is
I'm kidding.
what's wrong with him.
Nothing. He just came
TCU.
from TCU, and
Oh.
he stole the SMU Boulevard name.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
attached to their tailgate at Texas.
I'll
Otherwise-
make a prediction. I think Herman does not get fired. He's
don't
got
think so
2
either.
years left
Really?
on his contract. There's too much to buy him out. They're going to beat K-State. They'll beat Kansas. He's going to hang around for another year.
Yeah.
That's my feeling on this. Obviously, that's subject to
I was
change.
told Urban Meyer's looking at homes in Travis Country.
Yes, he must be working with Nick Saban's Austin real estate
Nick's
agent.
Nick's got a guy.
Let's move on. It's just
Too
sort
much
of depressing.
Texas.
We're not home. We sound like homers here, but the Northwestern, to me, if you guys don't mind, I'll drive here for a second. Continuing the theme of just sort of maybe not a wasted season, but a tremendous disappointment. Northwestern loses to Michigan State. Final score's 29-20 because Michigan State scored like a lateral touchdown at the end as Northwestern was throwing it around. But this was really a 2-point game. Northwestern was ranked number 8. They now, their outside chance of making the playoff is certainly out the window, although I think they're still in the driver's seat to play in the Big Ten championship game. Michigan State has been a pretty interesting team. Shouts to John Duda. So far this season, and courtesy of Big Cat, I saw this tweet. We'll shout him out. They lost as 10-point favorites to Rutgers. They won as a 24-point underdog against Michigan. They lost by 42 against Iowa. They got shut out at home against Indiana, and now they beat Northwestern, ruined their season as a 13-point underdog.
They are the Jordan Spieth of college football.
Yes, and if you want to know the
love
teams
that
with
analogy.
multiple wins against top 15 teams this season, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan State.
Just like
And those
everybody
jerseys are fucking terrible.
they this says it, but they have not only lost some games, they have looked awful in those losses. It's like
They
they're
look
just
awful
like
in
a
the wins and
bipolar
those
team.
highlighter jerseys, too. Speaking of just trash, Jordan Spieth's Under Armour stuff, not always the best apparel,
No,
if you want to keep that analogy going.
it's not great.
Mel Tucker, former interim Jaguars coach. I think that they're trending in the right direction. It would be nice to see Michigan State continue to make that conference a little more competitive. I think that Rutgers is going to be wildly underrated, as will be Maryland going into next year, because Tagovailoa,
Sure.
to his younger brother,
Oh, yeah.
is good. If they get 1 or 2 weapons in Maryland, I think that Loxley will have something worth watching. Maybe not challenging for any kind of national title game, but it won't be a given that Ohio State's going to waltz into Big Ten title game, aside from Penn State. And who knows how quickly Penn State recovers.
Game
They
was
lost all of their best players,
ugly.
but
So
kind of like LSU fell off the map. Nobody expected it to be as big of a
Yeah, they started ranked in the
downshift.
top 10.
Yeah,
Moving to the ACC, Notre Dame beat North Carolina by 2 touchdowns.
so weird to think about.
This was funny because it was on ABC immediately following the UT game. And then Mac Brown's team came out and scored on the first drive. And people are, I mean, I think everybody wanted the chaos. Like the fact that Mac Brown lost that game, Mac Brown, probably helped Tom Herman. Because I really think if Mac Brown's team would have won that game on national television right afterwards, people would have just lost it. No pressure to bring him back, but just to get rid of this bozo.
I'd say that a lot of people, including myself, missed. I've said it before about Herm Edwards. What Mac Brown's done is
it's impressive. They've got a
ridiculous.
crazy recruiting class coming in apparently too. So, but Notre Dame's good. I mean, at this point, we've seen enough of them to know they're a legit team, and they will be in the playoff.
Yeah,
basically,
deservingly so.
And then I think they deserve it. Normally, I like to crush them, but they're good.
Iron Bowl. By the time I turned it on, it was done.
Out of hand.
Yeah.
Is Matt Jones good, or is he the product of his
He's good.
players?
It's hard to not be good when you.
I like watching him play.
He's good. Is he NFL Pro Bowl good? I don't know.
Like, is he chest tat and sit on the bench in Houston good? Maybe.
I think he's better than AJ McCarron. Like I think if you
I'm
look
not
at the
saying he's not. I'm
average,
just like,
yeah,
it's a different offense too, though. Sarkisian,
That's true.
Probably going to be in line for jobs now that he's kind of put the whole pills and alcohol issue behind him.
shouts to him. Yeah, so Bama cruises. We talked about Iowa State. Do you guys want to talk about what's her name? Sarah Foster, is that right? Sarah Fuller. I'm sorry. The first.
Yeah.
Soon to be the Mean Green Zone, apparently.
Is she transferring?
I believe she is going to UNT.
Really?
Oh, well, we will see her at UNT.
Really? Where are you getting this information, David?
I would be
Let
shocked.
me look. Give me y'all
He's
talk
on the,
about
he's
it.
on the
and I'll look it
boards.
up.
He's on the UNT boards.
Okay, because she played at Missouri this week. She kicked off to start the second half. Mizzou whipped that ass, 41-0. God, we are good. It feels great. We got all the momentum. We got 2 more winnable games this season. Things are coming together for the Tigers, but nobody cares about that.
She was the first female player for a Power 5 team. Because whenever I heard this rumbling, I was like, what? Like, I thought we had Katie Henda. I'm
Yes.
mispronouncing her name, from New Mexico, but they were making the declaration that it was Power 5 team.
She had was on the roster at Colorado but never played in a game, and then transferred to New Mexico.
And she transferred because there were some sexual assault
Yeah,
issues.
it wasn't great.
A lot of terrible things happened. That was pre-Gary Barnett. So we did have a female player actually score points for New Mexico.
April Gose at Kent State also had 4 years.
And so it was interesting to see how quickly this hype bubbled up. I don't know if you caught the Derek Mason interview or the conversation before the game, but he did pretty much explain why this happened. Their kicker went down hurt. They did have a punter, which my immediate question is, okay, you're taking over kicking duties. I don't care how bad it is. It's you. What happened when I was at Texas Tech, when we were out without a kicker of any competence, is you post in the Daily Torador or the newspaper on campus and say, okay, hey, kickoff or kicking competition, come on out. Because inevitably, if you're a kicker in high school, it doesn't mean you're diehard to go play college football. But you probably can still kick. Or you're, soccer player, whatever, and you'll get somebody. Because of Thanksgiving and the break plus COVID, campus was empty. Their options were limited to what was on their team, which apparently they had nothing. And the soccer team had just won the national title game.
Conference title, I think.
Or conference championship, one of the two. The women's team did. And so Sarah said she would step up and try. She tried out. She did well. I'll say it. The one kickoff that she did get wasn't great. It went about 30 or 40 yards. Her pre-kick
It was a squib kick.
Was it intentionally a
I think
squib?
it was.
They said it
said
was an
afterward
intentional
a
squib.
Okay. Based on the
Perfectly
pre-game kicks,
executed squib.
also not great. However,
Wait. Okay.
undeniably, it's still a good story. And what blows my mind is that we don't see it more regularly. Because there are female kickers out there that can kick. It can be, maybe not 50-plus field goal kickers, but you can get female kickers to do kickoff duty and that can handle a tackle. Like, it should happen more often.
There should be. There are women on every college campus in America that can make an extra point.
Exactly.
That's if that's the bar, then that could happen.
I'm just saying it should happen more frequently. Those opportunities shouldn't be so unique. And don't give me this shit about, you only have a certain amount of scholarships. You're not going to give one out for this, that, or the other. Again, Title IX and all this other shit aside, I shouldn't say it like that. But Title IX aside,
Star over here.
you likely will be able to utilize a scholarship from if the person's a dual sport athlete from the other sports. So don't give me the space reasons. Like,
I
make this
agree.
happen more regularly. Shout out to Derek Mason for getting it done before he got fired.
North Texas women's soccer announced that Fuller signed to join the team in 2021. She'll be doing it as a grad transfer.
She is from Wiley, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
in the DFW area.
Makes sense.
Shouts to her. Sorry to Derek Mason, who
You
got
want to
canned.
Kendall Hinton her too?
I don't think so. She
Why
did
not?
fine. On game day before the game, it got a little dicey in the conversation. They weren't as sympathetic as perhaps they could have been, and but there was a joke about how yes, you better have range from 50 plus because that's the only looks Vandy might get at the scoreboard, and that turned out to be true. Vandy stinks. I mean, they're bad. They're a bad football team.
They stink, baby.
They stink.
Like,
Now
you've
they
got
need a new
SEC,
coach.
you've got Nashville. Like,
It should be an easy recruit.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to change their entire program.
do they have? I assume they have academic barriers that prevent them
That's-
from recruiting
That's
aggressively.
the story. Yeah.
SMU, Notre Dame had those things in place too, and then Notre Dame's AD Steve Orsini got that fixed up there, and then we hired him to figure out how to fix it for us, and we did. It's called install majors that are sports management.
It's a good plan.
Heartbreaking news. I wasn't aware of this until today. Indiana quarterback Michael Penix, is that
Yeah.
what's his first name?
Yes.
Martin
Out for the
Skrillex?
season with an ACL, which is sad.
I didn't even see the
If you look at if we want to continue my theme of seasons wasted or sad seasons, this one for Indiana, who that was having the greatest season they've ever had, basically with the star quarterback. Now he's lost for the year. That's tough for them.
Uncertain times, man.
Can we talk about the Oregon State-Oregon game?
Yes.
Because
You watched all of it, right?
did you watch the end of this?
Yeah.
I mean, I watched most of the fourth quarter. First of all, this felt like the first week that like college football is actually back to me, or maybe it is for me, where I sat down on a Saturday and watched all the games, and there were like West Coast games that were going late and they were close. Like it was exciting to be sitting there watching, and I guess we were all hungover and tired of eating over the course of the weekend. So by Saturday night, like it was just me on the couch. But this game was. Oregon State was, I think, a 15.5-point underdog going in, something like that. Oregon ranked number 15. On the Oregon State gets to a goal-to-go situation. Their quarterback tries to go quarterback sneak on 3rd and goal, gets stuffed, hurts himself, and is like hobbling off the field.
By the way, did probably got the ball across the plane. They botched that.
It looked by the naked eye that he did score.
The line judge, like one of the most egregious offsides you'll ever see. The guy who blew up the play was in the backfield before the ball even snapped, and they didn't call it. It was wild. And yeah, I guess he popped a hammy.
He does something and with a leg injury. I couldn't really tell what it was. I never heard what
It
it
looked like he got sniped.
And yeah, exactly. He like kind of limped off like 5 feet and then just went down like he got sniped. So now it's 4th down. They're losing by whatever it is, 4 points. So they've got to get in the end zone. They bring in a backup quarterback who's never taken a snap in college football, or at least at Oregon State. I think they say he was a transfer. I don't know if he had played before.
What was her name?
He goes in, sneaks in for the score, and wins. And Oregon State wins the game.
Yeah.
And as he's on the sideline, like hugging people and high-fiving, he's got the biggest grin you've ever seen. There's just this Shakespearean shot of him like this hugging people. And right behind him is the backup quarterback or the starting quarterback with his leg in the air, like, looking like he had literally been shot. Like he had just this look of pain on his face. And it was a hilarious moment to me in a wild
Should have took its
finish.
bitch ass to the accordion with all that sadness.
You also you failed to note the extreme fog that permeated the stadium for all of the first half and most of the second, and like camera crew, they were missing the ball. The commentators were missing interceptions. Like you couldn't see what was happening, and it was chaos, and it was a lot of fun.
This is one of those games that people at Oregon State will be talking about for another 20 years.
The commentators were acting like you would, like at a job where you don't know if you're supposed to get off early before a holiday. The whole time they're like, surely they may call this if there's a punt and there's a safety issue. Like they may call this game off. And I'm like, well, dude, it's really not fog. Everything's legal in Oregon. So,
Oh,
Damn.
the marine layer too.
That's a
Exactly.
marine layer. Very sick. And plus, they could see on the field it wasn't that bad. It was just for the folks at home.
Yeah, it's a camera trick.
Yeah.
Just fucking nose beers, clouds of it everywhere.
You catch the best 4-4 team in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels,
I missed it.
Beating up-
Egg Bowl. Egg
beating
Bowl.
up on Dave's Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I'm mad that I missed this because I was looking forward to this once we realized we'd have Kiffin versus Leach, and Mississippi State's just fall into a place of irrelevancy.
Kiffin
fun
is
game.
Right
tweeting out about how he posted a hilarious meme.
Cool. Very cool.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
you see the meme I did?
He
The
is
meme.
the most online football coach in the country.
He does stuff like I've followed him on Twitter for years. I don't really know why, but he always retweets stuff from recruits, and I'm just like, I don't think it's legal to be doing the things that he does.
You can. All I know is the SMU guy does. Coach Scott Nandy does it for SMU recruits. But yeah, Kiffin is acting like an SMU coach with how much he's online. But luckily, he doesn't get just shot down for having bad takes by random journalists. Rhett Lashley, the former OC of SMU, is now the OC for Miami. Tried to come to the defense of the Mustangs after they got their ass whooped when our beat writer said that they got obliterated. He's like, you could have just said got beat. That would work too.
That's a little bit.
And we were down
Yeah.
42-7 to a team that has 2 wins on the year. Obliterated fit.
Every time you send out a tweet like eyeballs emoji or the Undertaker or somebody getting up out of a grave, I would like go switch, try to find the game. Like, oh, okay, I got to see this comeback. And like, by the time I found it, they're
throw
back
another
down
pick.
21 again. I'm like, okay,
We
well,
brought it to 14 points with a minute left. Anyways, we lost. I've heard enough about it from random areas around the country. So no more on the SMU game.
I didn't
Brett, how was
DM
the
you
Egg
about
Bowl?
it, did I?
Egg Bowl was good.
I didn't have people send me the cities and state that you live in, so no, I don't think it was you.
Ole Miss really does. I don't know if you guys have had the pleasure of watching them. They have one of the most fun offenses to watch in the country. Corral can sling it. Elijah Moore, I think, is the best receiver in the country. He's number 8. Did you
Calm
watch this
down.
dude? I promise you, Dave, if you watch the game, you'll be like, holy shit, their defense is god
Have
awful.
you watched any Texas State football?
Is Brady football in the game?
Brady
Or is-
football's
Brady,
a guy.
isn't it Brady McFootball?
Brady
McFootball.
McFootball face.
He did not take down Coastal Carolina.
No, glad I didn't know.
The most exciting 2-8 team in America, the Texas State Bobcats.
Season's over.
Elijah Moore is who you're
Elijah
talking about?
Moore.
Okay.
You need to watch Elijah Moore next week. Their game got postponed. But
I'd rather
whenever
watch
you-
Elijah Wood.
Let's
I'm
talk
sorry.
about some other postponements. While we're, we talked about Bama and Notre Dame at the top of the country. Number 4, Ohio State. Number 7, Cincinnati. Number 11, Oklahoma. All had games canceled or postponed this week. There was a third Florida State game that's been canceled. And Stanford, much like the 49ers, will have to leave their state to practice.
Thanks a lot, Gavin.
And
Hope your
I
dinner
keep
was
thinking
good, you
Rosdale, and I'm like, what the fuck does Bush have to do with this?
we also should have mentioned number 3, Clemson. Number 5, A&M. Number 6, Florida. All cruise this week. So
Florida's good. man.
A&M's good
Florida's
too.
good.
That makes me want to go back. I mean, I'm not going to at all, and review what the fuck happened in that Florida A&M game. Like, A&M is putting it together. Combat
hate that.
Sports Minute. Or do y'all want to do golf first? Get this out of the way so y'all can, because I think combat will have more to it.
Just got a quick dip to golf.
Okay,
The
perfect.
mat, yeah.
Combat Sports Minute.
Did you guys, anybody else stream, legal or otherwise, an exhibition between two guys post 50?
yes, I as an expert on fist exhibitions.
Yeah, this is your thing.
I was intrigued. I certainly did not pay for this. Shouts to crack streams that went in and out. It
Gotta say.
wasn't great this time.
As someone who's participated in the promo for an exhibition, because you don't have the licensing from the state to make it a fight or call it a fight, they were so cavalier about this. They like
Yes.
Izzy Adesanya, who was doing commentary, was just like, I mean, he straight up was just like, yeah, it's an exhibition, but let's get real. It's a fight. Someone's getting knocked the fuck out.
Yeah,
I was like, that's like exactly what you're not supposed
yeah.
to
We're
say.
calling it an exhibition, but fuck it. These two dudes are about to go to
I
war.
think he said, fuck it.
Yeah, he did. He did. It was just audacious. I guess they just figured like this thing's about to start. It doesn't really matter
So
what
the
we
whole
say.
thing, they had some legit fights on there. The ring looked incredibly small. I don't know the dimensions of it, but it looked like a small ring.
The screen, I think, had that effect. Like they did the NBA bubble, huge screen right behind the ring. And
Yeah.
This was at the Staples Center, so
Oh,
they
it
had
was?
a lot of area to cover for this.
Yeah, it was really like the general vibes of this were real weird. They had a lot of rappers performing in between fights. and most of the music was terrible. I'll just say it.
No, until they got to Snoop.
Until they got to Snoop.
Snoop-
We'll get to Snoop.
Is he the
He's the MVP.
Is he the greatest hip hop performer, like live concert wise, like of all time? Is he in that conversation? Because he nails it.
He's got to be
every
in.
time.
He's got to be in the conversation.
He just looks so comfortable up there, blunt in his mouth. So it was fun. He did a medley.
Snoop, and it was good too, and he was also good on commentary, just yelling "Good night, Irene" when
Irene.
Robinson got knocked down a bunch. It was funny. Snoop was excellent. We could use Snoop all the time. He really is a national treasure. But
Dude's
the
got
vibes,
range.
I was getting some Firefest vibes from the way that the ring was set up. Like this looked, Dave, you said something about like this is some guy with way too much venture capital money behind him. That's just on a coke bender that said, let's design this thing to look like this.
Have any of you ever been into an Aloft hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This gave off major Aloft
Yes,
hotel vibes.
that's a good way to put it.
Wow.
Which,
that is
you know,
very accurate.
I don't hate the Aloft. I enjoy
I
it
don't
for what
hate
it
it.
is.
I
Just
like
let's
because
not look too
they
closely.
switch the bed direction and it changes your whole experience. It's like, whoa, I've never seen that before.
They paint this exposed concrete like teal, and you're like, oh shit. I'm in
Oh,
the
teal.
future.
Ooh. Yeah, I will say it just seemed the vibes were out. They're a little different.
You
And
didn't like French
it-
Montana?
I just if
Wiz
there was a big
Khalifa?
thing that popped up today and it said that whoever ran this didn't have the money to pay the fighters, I would be 0% surprised.
Well, because again, you have to think to yourself, who ran this? And I know the name. I don't know what the fuck they do. I'm
Yeah,
gonna give them
no one knows
idea
what
here.
Triller
Yeah,
is.
I'm like,
Shouts to them.
Well, I
thought it
know
was
what it
a-
is now that I've paid them $49.99.
Why did you pay Triller?
you have a problem.
Was that how you got?
That's
the-
how you have to do it.
God,
Yeah.
I had won a bet earlier in the day, and I was like, "Fuck it."
I love it.
It's where I'm at
I'll
now.
also say this though. It was pretty cool the way that it all
Yes.
looked. Like
Dude.
it wasn't bad, and it's nice to see something different because we're so programmed to watch UFC fights. I think is where I watch most of my fights, and you can time a UFC event like to the second. Like one fight ends, 5 minutes later you're gonna have the first fighter's music, the second fighter they're coming out, they're going. We have the decision. They just move on, and like to have something a little different was kind of fun.
Yeah, the most different thing about it was watching a YouTube sensation versus a guy who had a substantial NBA career, did a lot with
quality.
career, hit some big shots in some regular season games.
I can't remember a single shot that Nate Robinson hit. He did win 3 dunk contests, though. So he was a notable NBA
I remember
player.
one
He
year
could
against
hit
the
the threes with
Mavs.
Nugs.
He made the Mavs look
Yeah.
silly at
And
one
then Nets, he
point.
was okay too. Right before Linsanity went off.
Yeah, you got to be a good player to make in the league. What,
But
12, 13 years.
He had 0 professional fights.
And it showed.
I don't know if he had ever been in a. I didn't watch any of the hype leading up to it. I don't know if he's ever been in a fight.
Can we pull up these memes, Randy?
Yeah, hit us with the memes. I think everybody in the world was pulling for Nate, just because I don't know. He seems like a good dude, and it's kind. I'll be honest. It's kind of sad to see him having to do this.
No, everyone was pulling for Nate because of how insufferable
true.
Jake Paul is.
That is the main reason.
Okay, I don't know much about Jake Paul.
I
but
don't either, except for like
none of us should, I think, as grown men
the
in
Paul
our 30s.
brothers. I wonder if they feel like old heads when we talk about shit like the Sway House. Like, do they look at that like, oh fuck, I've been in the content game fucking 10 years before these idiots. Like,
I'd love to know, but for someone who has this huge worldwide following, this dude is not charismatic. After the fight,
No.
like he called out Conor McGregor. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. You're not going to fight Conor McGregor. And he wasn't even like smooth. He didn't have a good rap. Like, I thought you would see this guy and you'd be like, wow, that dude is truly electric. I've seen some of the stuff leading up to the fight.
Dude,
He's just another dude. I don't
think
get
he's
it.
trying to take it seriously.
Yeah,
like
I think he is.
I think he truly believes that he could get some actual traction as a professional fighter.
And I understand he's only 23 years old. He looks like a pretty good athlete. Like, I'm okay with that. I just want the dude to like be a little entertaining. And he didn't make me smile. He's kind of hateable, but not all the way hateable. He's got to work on his gimmick in wrestling parlance.
I love that he pointed out the fact that Deontay Wilder didn't start fighting until he was like 20 or 21. I'm like, a little bit of a difference there.
yeah, built different. Sir.
Built a little different.
In his defense, he's not built poorly. He's
No,
not a
he's a
small
big
guy.
dude.
Nate Robinson's what, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah,
I mean, he might be 6 foot.
He
NBA,
could be 6 foot.
He just feels small, but
Nate was a little bit bigger than I was anticipating when you saw him head to head. But I just want a little more from Paul. The guy had a chance to win me over. I could get into YouTube boxing. I like a YouTube feud. for a bunch of people I don't know about, he just wasn't electric enough.
This was clear from the moment they were face to face in the ring that this was going to end very poorly for Nate. Nate had absolutely no technique. His move, he was trying to charge in and get inside of Jake, and he would tie him up. And like you knew, if Jake Paul connected, it was going to end poorly. He knocked him down twice, and then that knockout is just one of the most brutal knockouts. It was reminiscent of Juan Marquez versus Pacquiao, where Pacquiao just walked right into a right and was just out for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was a little scary.
I will say here about Nate Robinson, all of the blowback and everything we're probably about to say about the knockout once we watch it is entirely valid. I do agree with the sentiment, like just like I said about Kendall Hinton, to be consistent here, you get some participation credit, especially for boxing, because you know things could go south.
Agreed.
But you know going up to this what's in store for you. You know that your opponent has boxed before. You have the ability to say, okay, he's of this quality. Like, nothing about this says, hey, I spent multiple days a week for several weeks preparing for this moment, and you deserve everything that comes to you if you don't prepare properly. Like all the fight nights, for both Ticket in Dallas and I'm sure fraternities around the country that like put these on. You can tell the guys who just think like, oh, I'm a strong guy, I show up and I'll fight. And for some reason, Nate Robinson did that, and it looked very odd. Like he lunged on his first punch and slipped, and I was like,
yeah,
this is going poorly.
It was. I think that his trainers, they told him like your only chance is if you catch him on a when you're rushing in, because like you're not gonna be able to like
either that or he just had too much adrenaline. Like he came out too hot.
He probably had a plan. It wasn't that
right. And maybe if he would have weathered the first 2 minutes, he could have gotten into a rhythm. But
you
he
see
did
this
not.
in front of the program, Rough and Rowdy, all the time, where I would see guys who trained for 6 months. And then their training just goes out the window in 30 seconds because you're hyped up like crazy and you just start swinging.
Yeah.
And then you're throwing pitches. And
that's what it looked like to me more than he was ill prepared.
Okay.
Like he just came in and
Mike
it was too big. The moment was
has
too
a plan
much.
until you get punched in the face.
That's
right.
I think he came in good shape, man. He's obviously a great athlete, but it doesn't always translate.
But and you're right. From the first punch he threw, where he like almost fell forward, you're like, no. This is not
funny,
great.
but can you podcast?
Has he tweeted yet? Has Nate Robinson said a word?
Yes.
Randy,
Right
if you'll
below.
scroll down a little bit, he did tweet that he's okay. Although like this was an ugly one. He went down face first.
Dude, it looked bad. Like the way he landed on his head, you're worried about the neck. Not good.
After he got knocked down the first time, I was like, oh, that was a real shot.
The
like
second
he's in
one, they
trouble.
could have called the fight.
And the third one was like, good night, lights out.
Yeah,
is knocking somebody out on that stage like that clean of a knockout? Is that up there with like a Game 7 home run, a overtime goal? Like where does that rank in personal potential sports moments individually?
A knockout that millions of people are going to see.
Right. And like Twitter's set aflame. Like it's way up there.
Dude, that's up there, man, cuz that's primal.
Right. Primal, like it's a solo sport. Like I'll take that over
and no matter what happens to you the rest of your life, nobody can call you a punk. Like they've seen you knock a grown man out. It's different.
I would say the only issue for me in agreeing would be that you kind of have two parts here. Like you have to have a match that's been hyped enough to where there's some personal vigor behind it. And then you also have to have either a disconnect or like a delay in the like, oh shit, is the person okay? Because you don't have that experience with, bottom of the ninth home run.
Yeah.
Where you drain a 3 or something like that's all you, your team, you did it, achievement unlocked, all of that shit. Like in this, there's like a little bit of your brain, unless you're just stone cold killer, where it's like, fuck, I hope the person's okay. Even in some UFC fights, you'll see somebody backflip, run the ring, but then there's a moment where their brain switches back and they're like, they kind of calm down, unless it's like a McGregor, Khabib kind of fight, where there's some personal fight vigor to where it's like, I don't give a fuck if he's dead or not.
Yeah. You know what? Anybody who goes, the worst person on Twitter, there's a lot of bad people on Twitter, but anybody who chirps a guy who gets knocked out, like who's doing a professional fight, whether they have experience or not, and like makes fun of them, like in a way, like goes with them personally or something. It's like, dude, they had the balls to get in the ring.
Yeah.
It's just there's a weird segment of MMA Twitter specifically that loves chirping people about that stuff. And then of course you had the main exhibition was Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson. Did y'all even watch it?
I did.
You did watch it?
I did watch
I checked out beforehand because I saw this and I knew
It wasn't
two
going to
things.
top it.
A, they're not going to let this happen to one of those two guys, or if it does, I don't want to see it. Especially if
That's
it's
a good
not Roy
point.
Jons Jr. Like
I would say
think
this
people
about
would have
this
been okay
event.
with that happening to Roy Jones, but if Tyson would have got knocked out like this,
That would have been ugly.
It
would have been ugly
everybody
for
would have
Roy
been
Jones
sad.
too. This thing had a lot more buzz than I expected. If you
Yeah.
were on Twitter, this was all anyone was talking about.
I think we actively talked about not watching this at all. And
Yes,
that's
for
only
months.
when we knew
For
about.
months, I was like not interested, and then on Saturday, I'm like, let's get a crack
They
stream.
timed it well.
So it was an exhibition. So they were wearing bigger gloves, by the way, heavier gloves.
Yes.
which
8
probably saved
two-minute
Roy.
rounds.
Probably saved Roy. I bet Roy feels very, very bad today because
There were some body shots.
the dude was getting his ribs just pieced up. And like Mike, he's like 53 years old, but the dude still has absolutely good footwork. And is very quick with the head movement, can change levels. And he was landing some pure shots on Roy's ribs, and I was just waiting for Roy to take a knee because he got smoked in the liver.
Really?
But he didn't. Yeah, it was good.
I
mean,
might have to go find if there's like a replay.
Roy tried to ruin it because he was trying to tangle up and just grapple and dirty box a little bit, but like it was fine. They called it a draw, which was kind of a joke. If you bet on that, like RIP to you. Tyson definitely won it, but
Yeah, and then
I was
they
glad I
announced
watched.
it. They announced it a draw, and afterwards, everybody was like, "Of course they announced it a draw. Like it was an exhibition. That was the only way that they legally could announce it. But yet the draw went off like plus 800. You could have gotten paid if you just selected a draw. Anyway, that was weird to me, and
yeah.
a little bit. It's boxing, so there's always sketchy things happening, and then you have an exhibition amongst two people in their 50s, so weird. But yeah, people seem to like it. It was more fun than people anticipated. There was no like, oh God, that is regrettable. I did not want to see that. Those dudes, they looked okay. They ran around. You got to see Mike one more time.
This had more action than a lot of those Glory Days or MMA fights.
Yes.
Where you get like an old ass Rampage or whatever.
Yeah,
Or old
I don't want to
Anderson
see
Silva.
Tito
Yeah,
Ortiz versus
Exactly.
the Iceman Chuck Liddell.
No,
That
this was better
nobody
than that.
paid for it, and it was ugly.
I didn't see or watch the whole thing because I can't watch the kind of thing. The very heavy set gentleman and the female MMA chick, like kickboxing or something.
Oh yeah, I saw that from
I don't
Russia.
know what that was from.
Yeah,
It was from
it's
Russia.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
I didn't finish the video, and then later I saw the end of it. She won the fight, so I'm okay with it. But it was like a Yokozuna-sized guy fighting a female fighter.
Shouts to Yoko.
RP. I
Rest in
think,
peace.
most
Oh yeah,
likely.
yeah, he's long gone.
And it's just a bad clickbaity thing, but that was the other combat.
Yeah,
sports
it was
item.
like a 120-pound chick fighting at least 450-pound, like huge fat guy who
Just
came.
chopping up his legs.
He came into the ring and did you
was
see?
swinging.
Did you see his entrance? That was the best
Oh
part.
yeah, that was
he
steamrolled.
literally rolled into the ring and then rolled on his belly around the entire octagon. It was a really dramatic pro wrestling
I'll be
entrance.
checking this
bear
out.
rolled the whole time.
Yeah, and then
else-
she put him to sleep.
Similarly, we can just pivot right in. Unless you got anything else on this, we can talk match. The match 3.0, 2.0,
3.0
3.0.
or 3.
I watched quite a bit of this. This was decent TV to have on Friday. The Friday after Thanksgiving, I'm not doing anything. I'm hanging out, kind of in, just still full, maybe having a little Thule, maybe a Miller High Life. You had Curry and Peyton versus Chuck and Phil. A lot of people put money on Curry and Peyton, which
Most people are foolish.
It's the scramble mindset. Like,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, me and my buddies went like 12 under in a scramble. Like, you have two relatively close to scratch golfers. Can they just beat Phil is what they were banking on.
yeah, he's a pro for a reason. And not only is he a pro, he's top 10 all time.
And owns the course.
And he literally owns
owns the course. Yeah, this is
Did you see that commercial where he was advertising the course? And I don't know the name of the course. It was in Arizona.
Looked beautiful.
As golf idiot, like it showed perfectly on TV. Everything about it looked great. But But at the end of the commercial, he's like, blah, 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 of course, this, that, and the other. We've got 18 holes. I don't know what the fuck he says. But then he goes, I loved it so much I bought it. I'm like, what a flex
What
to
a
put in the
flex.
commercial.
That's modern day Phil, man.
Yeah, at one point they were like, Phil knows every inch of this golf course. And then one of the other announcers was like, well, he does own it. He literally owns the land.
You had Chuck. Chuck actually surprised everybody.
I think
The
that's
dude's
what
got some game.
everybody was surprised. Well, not surprised, but I think that's what everybody underrated going into is that they thought Charles Barkley would be as bad as Charles Barkley, like from a Vine 7 years ago. Not that he's continuing to golf
Yeah.
every day for the next 10 years.
And even if he's terrible from tee to green, once he gets on the green, he has touch.
And it was good to see Phil like working as his caddy. That was all pretty interesting, telling him where to
gave
putt.
you a very, very thorough rundown of the greens.
My big takeaway is just like pro golfers are really fucking good and significantly better than maybe you think they are. There were a couple things. Phil walks with a towel everywhere he goes, which is something that like a weekend hacker does not do. And even if you're willing to believe that Peyton and Steph are both scratch players, they're maybe scratch players at their own personal club, under whatever conditions they go play on. And they may not, I think 99% of golfers, if they hit a ball OB off the drive, off the tee, they don't go back to the tee and hit another one. You go drop one, you take a one-stroke penalty. Like, that's not the way that pros operate. And there's just a much larger jump to be, and let alone, Phil is an all-time great, but even at the tail end of his career, he's on a level that these two dudes can't come close to.
Yeah.
Golf is hard.
I'm glad this was
Golf
free.
is hard.
I would not have paid money for this, just for the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that they dropped the pretense of doing these on pay-per-view. Just, it's good. It's fun to watch with nothing else going on Friday. I would not have paid $49 or $24, whatever the first one was.
People were pretty tough on Curry because he did not play to his one handicap. But the guy's legit.
Isn't he like? Isn't he hurt still? Like, doesn't
Is
he?
he?
Well, he's back to practice. He's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the clear.
You could tell he was not having a fun time.
Yeah.
And he also doesn't have the personality to really carry that kind of deal. Peyton, neither of them did. It was kind of the Phil show.
Yeah, Phil stole the show with his like sensei approach to every shot that Chuck had. Like to the point where Steph was like getting to the green early, listening in, and he's like, I'm just enjoying Phil like describe every little detail.
I don't know how you make one of those must-watch TV unless it's just uncensored and on somebody's own, like Triller, for example.
And that was the
Triller.
pitch on the first one.
Yeah.
That Tiger and Phil were going to be going, and they were going to be making side bets. But like Tiger and Phil just aren't that cool.
And it's
like, I wish that they were, but
And it's not their
it's
money.
not their money. It's Capital One's
It's
money.
Capital-
It
yeah,
goes to
it's
charity. It's like,
and them uncensored just isn't wild enough to put on Triller. Even
Phil-
if Chuck would have been drinking,
Yeah.
maybe we could have gotten some of that. But
You get like Troy Mullins out there, maybe. I'll probably tune in.
all right, Randy.
Randy
Off
disagrees
Mike
with that
Randy over
joke.
here. Hey, buddy. Troy Mullins. KJ, I read you loud and clear,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
co-sign.
Yeah.
Look it up. Mike, you want to run it back?
Sure. What is Russell Wilson mac and cheese though? I don't know what this is.
Oh, good point.
Should we run through these real quick?
I can go really quick. Russell
Let's go
Wilson
real
dropped
quick.
a wine of his own and a mac and cheese recipe. This is today. Russell Wilson's mac and cheese, pretty standard. 1 pound of cavatappi, salted or unsalted butter, flour, milk, Gruyere, cheddar, pepper, salt, more Gruyere. That's Russell Wilson's mac and cheese recipe.
If I'm married to Sierra, I'm have more than 1 pound of cavatappi.
I'd rather
So,
try.
you
I'd rather
know.
try her goodies.
Now, Dave, this is where I
Am I
wanted
right?
to
Am I right, Brett?
you're right. He dropped a wine. He dropped a wine in Washington in 2017. It's right up Dave's alley. Ready for this? The wine is an aromatic tour de force with appealing aromas of black cherry, like Dave's favorite band, smoked meat, dark coffee, dried herb, and spice, showing complexity and detail.
Is this a Pinot Noir?
Dude, does he even drink?
He has the nanobubbles in it.
See, when I saw
He puts it on his head for
when I saw
concussions.
Russell Wilson mac and cheese, I thought this was going to be some super fucking lame vegan mac and cheese thing with and non-alcoholic wine. So I'm glad to see he's a Gruyere boy. It's huge.
It's got 93 points, and it's $35.
Is it a Pinot Noir?
All right.
Or is it a
I'll try.
Cabernet?
What's it called again?
It's a blend.
Oh, it's a blend.
It's called The Untold Story.
That's so fucking lame. That is, it's. If you told me that Russell Wilson had a wine, I would call it. I would bet that it would be called The Untold Story.
Yeah.
I would say it's
So
Let's Be
lame.
Great.
Let's be grapes.
Let's Be Great. Ooh.
There we go. Good. Let's be grapes.
Micah, you want to run it back, huh?
I can do that now.
Let's go.
Let me just start by saying I didn't do a great job this week. So let's go to Run It Back, the segment in which we talk about the things we already talked about.
You did great today.
Hey, we all agreed that everyone knows that Dorn is an objectively ugly guy.
One of the fucking ugliest.
We got a big upgrade with Brett here.
Brett's just a great looking man.
Thank you.
Shouts to Dippy, the unofficial official mascot of Too Much Dip. Go get that merch. Micah accidentally catfished a waitress once. KJ explained Discord if you hit your boy up if you need a link. It was a shit Thanksgiving day at the Rough House. Yeah. We're calling compressed disc Comdisc now. Dave's riding with Jason Garrett and the Giants to win the NFC East.
Go, Daniel Jones.
Romo is giving Bruce Arians all the smoke. 'Tis the season for ass eating, according to KJ. Time for an assaccino from the Mocha Clappuccino.
That's right.
Do not endorse. That is
Dave-
not what's on the shirt.
Oh, okay. All right. Dave is shocked that John Elway might not take COVID-19 seriously.
Cosign.
KJ reminded us that everything is legal in Oregon. Lots of fools bet on Peyton and Steph. Golf is hard, we decided.
Sure is.
And that was Run It Back.
It's
An
great to be
abrupt
back.
It was good to hear the Mike Tyson music, Mike Tyson back in our lives
Ooh, a
again.
little, yeah.
One other
Little
question.
tie-in there.
Sure.
If Tyson is going to fight an actual active boxer, are you interested? More
No.
interested than you
No,
were before?
Oh, damn it! I say this now, but no, that's sad. Like that's not
I
fair.
don't need to see it again. I'm just happy that it wasn't terrible. It was more fun than we thought it would be. I don't need to see it ever again.
I'm okay with these like exhibitions where they are wearing bigger gloves and the risk of like him getting his head beat in anymore is lower. Like I'd even prefer to him to have headgear on, to be honest with you. And then I would love to be able to see him move and marvel at how quick he still is. Dave and I were talking about this earlier. Like even during his interviews, you can tell his brain is still there. Like he can still roll with the punches, pun unfortunately intended, but he just connects to different places than a normal man would, but he still keeps up with conversation. So I'm glad he's able-bodied, able-minded. I'd like it to stay that way because he's had a sneaky good post-career content life. So
No doubt.
let's keep that up for somebody who's served time.
He has his weed farm.
He's still
Exactly.
big shouts to weedmaps.com, which got a lot of promo during the Triller fight, and shouts to Mike Tyson, America's favorite convicted rapist.
It's right. It's jeez.
I mean, according to the Q
Who has
score,
served their time?
It's true.
that's true. His debt to society.
It is very odd that. Okay, you want to?
Sure thing. Thanks for having me, guys.
See you guys Thursday, Brett. You did a great job.
Appreciate it.
You
Thank
beautiful bitch. Bye.
I want my chips with the dip. That's all I know. I don't want my chips plain. I want my chips with the dip. So bring them dips.